go to offensive coordinator Rick Bowie. We'll just jump right into questions. Jeff, can you want to start us off?
Sure, Rick. You've had a weekend to look at the film, or a day at least, just kind of give me impressions of how you guys looked offensively.
Again, lots of good, lots to coach. Same thing I said last week. I think a couple things stand out on areas that we can improve. The penalties got to be cut down quite a bit. That's something that Coach Helton's been really good at in his time here, being one of the least penalized teams in the country. We got to do our part offensively to make sure that that doesn't happen that way. And then, you'd like to start faster. I think that there's one of those things that I think you asked that last week as well. And so you'd like to get out there and start faster and have a little bit of an immediate impact on the game. But other than that, there's plenty of good as well. I think you got to see a lot of different people make plays, a lot of people get into the game, which is an exciting thing in games like that. And again, continuing to build that depth that we talk about a lot. It was good to see.
Speaking of having a wide variety of guys that you're able to put into the game, did you like seeing that and having so many different players out there that can get the ball at any point? Yeah,
certainly. Depth is a huge advantage, and when you have done such a good job compiling depth like Coach Helton has in his time here, that certainly makes my life easier. Obviously this is a game that there are bumps and bruises, and when those things come about, it's nice to have the next guy ready. We talked a lot about anytime I've been able to talk to y'all, there's a lot of competition in a lot of rooms, and so that's going to bring out the best of a lot of players, and I think you're seeing that. I think you see the ability for people to go into the game no matter what the reason may be and continue to perform and match the standard that we have offensively.
How much extra energy does that give to that room, that wide receivers room, to know that so many of them can make an impact and have their chance to make some plays?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a really close-knit group, that receiver group is, and you hope it's a different guy all the time. I think it makes it hard defensively to defend people when you don't really know who can make that big play, and when you have multiple people that can, that's a big advantage. You like to spread the ball around. Talked a little bit about that last week as well, but it definitely gives energy. I think you have that level of competition that it persists through the week. You all see it on Saturdays, but on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays at practice as well, you're seeing a group of guys that have to play at a high level every single snap to keep earning the time to be out there so that they can perform.
How much energy did it give the team? Did it give you seeing KD with that one-handed catch and how he had a great night on Saturday?
Yeah, we said it. Players make plays. KD's been doing that around here for a long time, and I think anytime you have great players, they make your life easier. It'll always be a player's game. We can talk about coaching all you want. It'll be a player's game. We just try to put them in the best spots possible. Great players make great plays. That was a great play. When we needed it at a big time to have an explosive to kind of blow the game open a little bit, you're always looking for those opportunities, and definitely gave that spark that we were looking for.
Coach, Toledo's defensive line, they're very physical up front. What do you think will be some keys for you guys coming into this week to establish that run game?
Yeah, this is a phenomenal defense. Make no mistake about it. This is a super, super talented group, very physical. They have talent at all three levels of their defense. Running the football is going to be very important. I think you have an extremely talented and deep group defensively, so they can run through people very effectively and make sure that there's almost no drop off whatsoever. There's a lot of really talented players over there, a lot of guys that are going to be playing football for a long time, I would imagine, and what a great opportunity that is for us. You play college football to play in big games against great players, and we certainly have that challenge and that opportunity this weekend. With that said, running the football, like you mentioned, is always important, and so we're going to try to give ourselves the best possibility to do that where possible.
And Kentucky ran for 220 against them. Obviously, what were they able to do effectively against the Rockets last week? Yeah,
I think when you watch that game, again, it's an advantage to have a game for the first time this season. I think the first two games we've gone in only with the opportunity of watching things from the past. This week, I think when you actually have a game to watch, it gives you some advantages. And diving into that, being able to figure out ways where you can get a sense from watching it what they were trying to attack, and that gives us some advantages. But with that said, every team has different identities, and every team has different strengths and weaknesses, offensively that is, and we're just going to try to play to ours where that need be.
Now you come into this game with fresh eyes. You weren't here last year for the Toledo game. Now, how much do you utilize game film from when Western played Toledo last year? Is it just another game, or do you look at it a little more?
Yeah, I think you find the similarities between who you are year to year, the similarities between who Western Kentucky was prior to me being here, and then the similarities that we are now. Sometimes there's more, sometimes there's less, and that tends game to game. But when you have those data points, it all helps. I mean, anytime you could turn it on and see, little things here and there, you can piece together little pieces of the puzzle through what you think was trying to get done schematically. So it definitely doesn't hurt, and you can use pieces of it for sure.
Coach, with your experience with Maverick, obviously he's been throwing it all around the yard so far. Do you think this is like a peak for him, or is it something that later in the season we'll see better performances as he goes?
I think it's week to week. I think that the beauty of what Maverick has done, and I've said it from time to time, is in the preparation. I think he's going to continuously take the time that it takes to play the position at a high level, but there are always areas to improve. I mean, I said it last week. Nobody wins from me telling him how good he is all the time. So we're going to find any individual area that we possibly can to get every ounce out of a player that I think is a really, obviously a very good player. So Mav's got a lot that he can work on. We talked a lot about that after the game on Saturday, and he's starving for that coaching. He doesn't. Nobody wins from me just patting him on the back all the time. So I think week to week you'll see a different version of him depending on what it takes. Ultimately, the job is to win. So you talked about him throwing it around. That's what it took to win the first couple weeks. Whatever it takes to win is what we'll do. The only statistic that matters is who has more points.
Obviously, you've been around Maverick for many years now. With you and him coming to Western, what have you seen and how he's really started to mold to this new offense, and how this offense is molded to him as well? How do you evaluate that?
Yeah, no doubt. I think that's what coaching is all about, is finding the mesh between the two things. I mean, camaraderie, I've said it a million times, is a really great thing. Camaraderie is really important, and I think that continuity also is really important. So he's built both. I think he's got great sense of the locker room and figuring out the players in the room and building that camaraderie. And then the continuity has been good to see. And I think there's similarities between the offenses that we've had in the past and the one here, because every offense is going to change according to the talent that we have. So the locker room down there is full of a lot of talented offensive players, and we try to build it for that. And so that's what we're trying to get done, and it changes week to week according to who you're getting defensively. Continuity is hard to surpass according to these guys. They've had great coaching and playing continuity at this great opponent that we get a chance to go against. So it'll be a great test.
Now, week 0, Matt Henry kind of popped with the numbers that he put up last week. He was, he had one big catch, but he was one of many. Our defense is able at times to double cover or bracket, and was he getting a little extra attention based off game film from week 0?
Yeah, sure. I think anybody who has production is going to be focused on. Again, we hope that we have the depth within the offense where multiple people can make those plays when they get the single coverage that it takes to make explosive plays. That's a lot of the competition and depth we're talking about, not just in the receiver room. You saw a lot of different backs out there. You saw a lot of different tight ends out there. We were able to roll some guys up front. So anytime defensively they're going to try to take away what you're good at, that's playing great defense. And then we hope we have the people that it takes to make them pay in other areas.
Thank you, Coach.
Yeah, appreciate it.